Hello and welcome to the world as we see it. My name's Lloyd Hobart Mitchell, and I am an ordinand with the St George's congregation here in Pattaya in Thailand. Um, my formation is, which is the training a person goes through when wanting to become a priest, is being overseen by Father David Price, who's the chaplain of St George's, and that's supported by Father Tom McCusker, and he's the former chaplain of St George's. So myself and another ordinand whose name is Zach, we are very lucky to have both of them helping and supporting and guiding us as we attempt to navigate our respective roads to ordination. Um, this transmission really is part of that journey. That's the motivation behind it, really. A little bit so that I suppose I get some experience, and ultimately, I'm sure Zach will get involved as well. Talking to you about what we think, which is why it's called the world as we see it, and also really to get into the habit of the liturgical year, um, which unless you've really been part of the church, it's quite an experience in itself. Focusing on different times of the year and different parts of the actual liturgy. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the liturgy in Anglican churches is broken into 3 years. So there's an it's they have these labels: year A, B, and C, and I always find it quite amazing. The purpose of that is that across the 3 years, the whole Bible will be read and discussed and celebrated, and used within homilies and applied to life. And I think that's rather amazing. The other obvious part of this transmission is to ultimately, once we have sufficient followers on Twitch, we hope to be able to monetize Twitch, and that will enable us to have an absolute necessary part of a little stream of funding to cover the costs of the church. The actual church, the chapel, we don't own, we rent, and we rent that for about £50 per week, which is probably something like $75, which is 2,000 baht. So that's no small amount of money, considering that our congregation on a good day is about 8 people, and we certainly don't receive that kind of money in the offertory. And so members of the congregation and supporters, long-standing supporters of the congregation, actually subsidise the cost of having the church. And if we can get Twitch and Facebook and YouTube really to get folk to understand that we are in a state of constant appeal, um, really just to cover the costs. Forget about any of the other ministry that we might have going in the community, which also obviously uh, comes at a cost. Um, then one day, we might be able, and I know I say this phrase loosely, but it's one that's very often applied in the voluntary sector. We hope that one day it will wash its own face, right? And maybe that's something that lots of churches aspire to. I think for most churches, it's a necessity. It's quite normal to have that expectation. Of course, if we were not an independent church, if we were part of, the Singapore diocese, then we would have to be paying the parish share anyway. Well, in effect, we don't even make a parish share. So that's where we are. And I suppose when we started, when I started this regular transmission, um, that's where it was coming from. Really, it was trying to work out a way of exploring not just my formation, but also enabling you know us to see whether there are ways, modern ways, using technology to come up with additional streams. So that's anyway, that's our background. That's who we are. That's why we're doing it. Today, what we are doing is we are following our standard weekly agenda, and what we normally do on a Saturday is we look at the church times, and we're going to go through the church times imminently, and we also then at the back end of the church times we tend to uh, go through the order of service for tomorrow's Eucharist, and hopefully you'll stick around for that. Now, going through the church times, sometimes the headlines are noteworthy. Sometimes they get a few comments from me. Occasionally, it's a low news week, um, and it's less interesting. So we never really know what we're going to get. I haven't had a chance to look at the church times today, but we will see what we've got, and hopefully, um, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. Now, I'm going to have to press a few buttons just to share the web with you. So let's see if I can do that. I'm not a master at this. I mean, I've been doing it for some time now, but this is the bit where connections become unconnected. Um, this is a bit where where things can sometimes go a bit wrong. So we'll see whether it works seamlessly. Maybe it does. We'll have a look. Um, and right, let's. I think it might. You know what? I think it might just work today. So let's have a look, and I think it will. Yes, it did. Look at that. I'm always a little bit surprised when that happens. But there we are. We've got the Church Times up now. For anyone who doesn't know, the Church Times is a wonderful. I mean, it's like a British institution, I suppose, for clergy and for Christian folk in the UK, and it's really good for kind of taking the pulse of the Church of England and trying to find out what's going on. A few alerts. There are lots of jobs advertised, and we can just look at the news from our, from our faith perspective, I suppose. Um, Now, it says Ukrainians hear the note of hope as fighting goes on, and I, I, I'm always worried because I can see that little sub text there where it says church leaders in Ukraine have begun talking more convincingly about victory over Russian forces, and I honestly think it's too early to tell. I would rather I'm probably not going to um, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Ukraine apart from saying that it's an absolute travesty. And I'm very, very sorry what is going on over there. It's appalling. I read some bits and pieces on the BBC about evidence of war crimes in certain areas as the Russians have been retreating, um, and it's very sad. I feel for the people of Ukraine, as I'm sure most people around the world do. It's desperate, but I do think that whilst talks, which have been taking place, seem to stall, and while there is no you know real good news from any avenue, I think talk of victory over Russian forces, considering how much Vladimir Putin has not committed to this war to date. He's got a lot of cards left in his hand that he hasn't thrown down yet, and we hope he doesn't. Um, I'm not so sure whether victory over Russian forces is it seems a bit premature to me. So keep up the good fight. I'm sure it's incredible what the Ukrainian people have done, and that should be recognised and remembered forevermore. Um, but I think let's not count our chickens, too early. Lambeth Conference must not be dominated by sexuality again, say the primates. In the same week as the government has once again done two U-turns. Once they had a party manifesto which was published a long time ago, confirming that conversion therapy would be banned. It would be outlawed with an outright ban. And then earlier in the week, published on ITV, the government said no, they were going to backtrack on that. It would not be banned, and that's a real shame for a lot of people in the UK who had been campaigning for it to follow suit with lots of countries around the world who have recognised that there's a great deal of abuse in this conversion therapy. It's not a therapy at all. It's just abuse. It's abusive. It's wrong, and it should be recognised for what it is, in my opinion. And then later in the week, I think yesterday, the government made an announcement saying they are going to press on with a ban, but not in relation to transsexuals. Now, LGBT, normally there's a T, right? It's not LGB, there's a T. So why they have suddenly excluded folk who have, gender dysphoria, I have no idea. I don't know why they would have done that. So I think there's lots to talk about there, and why, in the middle of this huge consultation exercise called Living in Love and Faith, produced by the Church of England, the Lambeth Conference says it should not be dominated by sexuality again when Living in Love and Faith is not complete. We're in the middle of the consultation exercise. We should be in the middle of a conversation. It seems a bit strange to me. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting. I think it seems to me that there are, the primates of the Anglican community are determined that the Lambeth Conference in July should not be dominated by debates about human sexuality. Instead, the conference will focus on those things which are destroying tens and hundreds of millions of lives. And Archbishop Welby was speaking at a press conference on Thursday afternoon at the end of this week's primates meeting, which took place at Lambeth Palace. 37 primates attended, including some online. It was the first time that the primates had gathered in person since a meeting in Jordan in January 2020, shortly before the start of the pandemic. The communique published on Thursday expresses lament at the absence of 3 primates who choose to stay away from such meetings. Those were the primates of Nigeria, Uganda, and Rwanda. And Archbishop Welby confirmed at the press conference the primates of Kenya, who has also in the past expressed misgivings about the stance of other provinces on sexuality, did attend. However, there was also no representative of Papua New Guinea because the province is in between primates. So that makes sense. Okay, so I do think that it's difficult, isn't it? For the Church of England, it's very difficult because they know that should they go down the road of, acknowledging blessings or marriages for same-sex couples, then effectively what they are doing is they are splitting the communion. The Anglican communion will split with those dioceses around the world which don't agree for whatever reason. And so yes, it is one of these difficult situations. But there's part of me which kind of thinks, well, it's a very broad church. It always has been. Um, I'm sure there are ways of enabling those areas which do want to progress, in the way they do, to allow them to progress, and at the same time, um, allow those that don't to stay as they are. A bit like the ordination of women, I suppose. Um, so that we will see. We'll watch this space. We will see. But we are in the middle of this conversation about living in love and faith, and I think that would be a dreadful shame to discount the conversation that's entirely necessary, especially considering the political uh, debacle which has occurred over the last week or so. Because we all thought when it was in the manifesto and when the Queen read it out in the Queen's speech, it was as good as done. But no, there's lots of room for shenanigans, right? Now, uh, it says, "Will you give to our Lent appeal for ordinands?" Now, I think that's a great idea. Of course, we are, Zach and I are ordinands of an independent church, so we have no there's no benefit to us because we're not part of the Anglican community as such, not part of the Anglican communion as such, but nevertheless, it is a good cause. Let's have a look. Tackling anger and grief after abortion. I think that's a very good feature that I would recommend people read. I'm not going to do that because I'm going to steer clear of abortion. I don't think there's much merit in commenting on that. So that really is the Church Times. The Church Times has, there are a couple of jobs there, aren't there? So diocesan director of ordinands, program manager. There's an associate vicar, and there's a secretary's job. So very interesting. I encourage everyone to look at the Church Times because it's brilliant. And I think what we will do, we will go over to our website, and I think we should start to look at tomorrow's order of service. Yes, so I mean, not a hugely, um, you know, busy edition of the Church Times. I think the sexuality conversation is an ongoing one, and the Ukrainian one is too, I fear. Anyway, let's get on and have a look at um, our website. I don't know why. Just as I did that, uh, the computer appears to have frozen. Oh no, it hasn't. Look, it's come back. There we are. So there we are. That's okay. It's going to work, which is good news. So here we are. Come on, computer. Come on. Is it working? Now this is the moment, isn't it? Now, do we just at times like this? I kind of think, do we abandon or do we wait? And I think waiting is going to be the better option, right? I'm always fearful. I'm always fearful of. Come on, is it going to work? If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to have to talk to you. Um, oh no, I think I'm going to click wait. Should we do that? Let's kill a couple of these other. We'll get rid of a couple of other tabs, and we'll see. I think maybe. I don't know why. I think the Chrome browsers. Oh no! It's suddenly appearing. It's happening. It's happening. That was good. I was about to hit the abort button. I was about to just say no. Let's get. Shows you, patience is a virtue, right? Patience is a virtue, but unfortunately, when it comes to computers, very often I'm terribly impatient. Now, we're on the front page of the St George's website, which is, I'm really happy with this website. We've got a bit of work, just a little bit of housekeeping to go through it and delete some content which nobody has ever looked at. So that's I think those pages where no one's ever looked at these pages, we're going to have to get rid of them because there's no merit in paying for the hosting for those. But generally speaking, more than 50% of the website has been looked at multiple times, and obviously not by me because my figures don't count. So I think we've got a good website there. Now you should be able to see the little red button, and that's where you click if you want to see the order of service. It says latest sermons, but in truth, it takes you to the sermons archive. And so we're now looking at the 5th Sunday of Lent, and we'll click into there. And it seems to all be working again. I wonder what was going on. It's funny, isn't it? So 5th Sunday of Lent, 3rd of April, we are going to be starting promptly at 3 p.m. Bangkok time, Jakarta time. I don't know what time of day that makes it for you guys. Certainly in England, we are 6 hours behind now in the UK, or we in Bangkok are 6 hours ahead. So 3 p.m. is 9 a.m. So it's a bit more of a civilized time. And I think maybe, there are fewer excuses for people to say, oh no, I'm not up, or it's a bit early. What I will show you is there are some instructions here. For those of you who do want to worship online, there are some instructions at the top here which do tell you what these little symbols mean. And where you see these little symbols, it shows you that where there's a little purple cross, you're encouraged to make the sign of the cross. And where there's a little yellow fist, you are encouraged to strike your fist with a closed hand, following the actions of Father David. And where there is an open-handed palm, then you are encouraged to tap your breast with an open hand, following the actions of Father David. So it's very, very clear. And you will see in a moment, by using these expandable accordions, you can see the whole liturgy, really. So we'll click on the first one. That's a hymn. And all the words are there. If you're interested in the music, then you can go all the way down, and all the music is there too. And you just need to click on that little media player, and it will blast out the music. I won't do that because I've been told that I completely demolish the music by having it coming out the speakers then back in through a microphone. It just sounds so naff, and we don't want that. So better you have your own experience by clicking on the media player yourselves. But you just click on these little sections of the liturgy, and as you click on them, the liturgy drops down, and you'll be able to follow any of the readings, the responses. There isn't a homily there yet, of course, and the intercession isn't there yet. But in the archives, they're all there. And you just carry on down, and you can take a full part in the liturgy through the service. So I do hope that you join us. I hope that you join in at home. That's from last week. I do apologise. There's a memorial for a parishioner who passed away, which obviously hasn't been removed. So that's an error. That will be coming out quite soon. So that was an oversight. I don't know how or why that got left in. Just an oversight by me. But I will tell you that the introductory music, which you heard at the beginning of this transmission, is played by Father David Price. And Father David is an extraordinary organ player with a huge, an extensive career playing church music on the organ. If should you choose to take him up on the offer, are able, if you're in the UK, you are able to see and meet and hear him play. And I'm going to take time today talking about that opportunity because I think it's incredible. And I know that if I were in the UK, and if I were a member of a church which had an organ, then I absolutely would be getting in touch quickly and ensuring that we had our fair share of Father David, who is brilliant, by the way. I don't know if I've mentioned that, but I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it. He's marvelous. I can't help it, but we tend to take Father David for granted in terms of the organ. His music is a crucial part of our service, and in fact, only the other day I was having a conversation with my tutorial. Let me come back just for a moment. So I'm going to come back and just chat to you just for a moment while I organise a couple of other links. Um, and so I was having a chat to my Serum tutorial gang, and we were talking about the value of the music in the service. Now, of course, not everyone has traditional organ music. Um, some people have worship music, and all to their own, I suppose. For us, we have Father David, and Father David is, uh, one of the preeminent church music organ players from the UK, and he happens to be here, and he's got an organ, and he, records our music every week. Now, um, one of the things which he does traditionally is he has an organ recital once a year, and he goes to the UK and he will tour various churches around the UK and play for them. Now, for anyone who's ever been to an organ recital, they are just beautiful. All right. And I know, and I'm going to share with you in a moment, the web page, and I'll share it in the chat boxes as well for Facebook and also for Twitch. But in fact, here it is. So we'll visit the web page, and as I say, I'll share it with you, and you can visit this web page. And using this web page, you can get in touch with Father David directly. And I don't know, you might decide to book him, see his availability. You may decide to book him and hear him play. So this is your chance. I'm going to go back to the web share, and you should be able to see the organ recital page. Oh no, why didn't that work? I know why it didn't work, because I was too confident, right? Normally, I prepare everyone with a little bit of advanced warning saying this might not work, right? And I do that every time. And then if it does work, then all is well and good. And if it doesn't work, then there's no surprise. In this case, I clicked on a button thinking it was going to work, and it doesn't. So that's it's very, very, very annoying. I can't tell you how frustrating it all is. But anyway, we'll deal with that one step at a time. And here we are. Let's do that. There we are. So you should now be able to see Father David's annual summer organ recital tour 2022, and there are a few very nice pictures of Father David. UK COVID restrictions have been removed, and so that means Father David is effectively well on his way. He's able to start planning and get dates confirmed, and this is the first time in a couple of years that this has happened. The last time was in 2019. So 2020 was cancelled, 2021 was cancelled, and so this is the first time in a long time. So you can, by coming to this page, you can simply get in touch with Father David, and you are able, should you so desire, click on the send me a direct email button, and suddenly you will be in a position to see him and book him and check on his availability and everything else. So I urge you to do that. I will show you. I'll scroll down. We've got some dates confirmed already. There are a few gaps in the schedule, and you can see where the gaps are, obviously. But just send him an email, right? If you are in the UK and if any of the dates confirmed are already nearby you, and I know already, for example, that Father David is talking to a couple of places in Faversham, and not far down the road from Faversham. So there, those chats are already in place, and a few other places. So as we get dates confirmed, we'll be adding them to this list. So do keep your eyes open there. And even if you're not nearby, get in touch, because it may well be that there's sufficient time to get Father David from where he was to where you are, and then onwards to where he needs to be. So, as I say, I'll share that with you all on the Facebook as well. All right, and I think that's the best thing that I can do. And I think what we might well do is, if you go, the easiest way to do that actually is if you go to the St George's Anglican Church fan page on Facebook, and you can see that because it travels across the top of this little ticker tape here. Then we will do a post about Father David's organ recital. Again, we've done a couple of them over the last few months, but there's no harm, I don't think, in doing another one. Yeah, I think actually it's necessary. It's in everyone's best interest, and the reason why is because once you've met Father David, then you will, of course, be able to talk to him about the work, his other work at St George's in Thailand, and you will then be in a position to talk to Father David about the options for twinning, and whether or not that's something you're interested in doing. That would be great, but certainly there would be a relationship there, and I, for one, look forward to having greater links with some of our, friendly churches in and around the UK, and maybe we could learn from each other. That would be, for me, that would be ideal. So, if that's something that you would enjoy, then again, just get in touch, and we'll be able to do something. Yeah. Now, at this time of night, what we normally do, and I say this time of night, for us it's about 25 past 11. But at this time of night, what we normally do is we direct ourselves towards our prayers. And we use two prayers. The first, obviously, is the Lord's Prayer. And the second is the prayer for the day, which is provided to us by the Church of England. And so, for those of you who would like, you are encouraged to join us in prayer. And for those of you who would rather not, I'm asking that you do stick around, because actually just participating by hearing other people pray, I think is incredibly healing. I think that there's a power in prayer. Whether or not that idea resonates with you, I'm not sure, but do stick around and stay with us until the end. For everyone else, let us pray with confidence to the Father, as our Saviour has taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Merciful Lord, you know our struggle to serve you when sin spoils our lives and overshadows our hearts. Come to our aid and turn us back to you again. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Now, thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for spending some time with me. Hopefully, you may well have been with us live or else caught this on the replay. And if that's the case, I'm sorry you weren't with us when. In any event, uh, I do hope that you do seek out the service tomorrow, 9 a.m. UK time. I don't know what time that will be where you are or when that is. But do join us tomorrow for the Eucharist at 3 p.m. Bangkok time. And do also search out the link for Father David's recital because it's a great opportunity and it would be a dreadful shame if you had this opportunity now and didn't take it up, only then to have missed your opportunity, right? It's not going to come around until next year. So, and if you get in I know we're very quickly it's going to be June and July, very quickly. But there is still time to confirm some dates. So do that. I encourage you. In the meantime, as I tend to do, I will wish you prayers and best wishes. Bye bye for now.